A girl in a white shirt enters Luxe Bridal, expecting elegance but facing vicious prejudice. Mocked and live-streamed before a crowd, she's humiliated. Will she fall or fight for America's working class? A stunning secret erupts. From slum roots, she humbles elitists who scorn others. Follow her battle for justice. Watch to reveal the truth. Like the video, support our channel for a fairer society where respect triumphs. Chapter 1. The Girl in the Wrong Room. The Soho afternoon buzzed with honking taxis and the faint whiff of overpriced coffee. Ava Miller pushed open the glass door of Luxe Bridal, her worn sandals slapping softly against the polished oak floor. Her white linen shirt was slightly wrinkled, her beige culottes a tad loose, and the silver ring on her finger, her mother's old keepsake, gleamed faintly under the boutique's neon glow. The place was a temple of excess. Silk gowns hung like clouds, chandeliers dripped crystal, and the air smelled of money. Ava, with her canvas tote and no-makeup face, looked like she'd wandered in from a thrift store, not a bridal fitting. Claire Bennett, the manager, stood behind a marble counter, her black blazer sharp enough to cut glass. Her eyes flicked over Ava, narrowing like a cat spotting a stray. Jess Parker, an influencer with platinum hair and a permanent smirk, leaned against a rack of veils, scrolling her phone. Megan Hart, the new sales assistant, hovered nearby, her nervous smile twitching. The trio froze, their chatter dying as Ava stepped forward, oblivious to the invisible line she'd just crossed. Excuse me?" Claire's voice was syrupy, but her arched brow screamed, "Get out." "Are you lost?" The dry cleaners 2 blocks down. Ava, unfazed, pulled out her phone with a small smile. "I have an appointment." Ava Miller, 3 p.m., dress fitting. She tilted the screen, showing an email with Luxe Bridal's logo. Jess snorted, loud enough to echo. "Dress fitting? In that outfit? Girl, you look like you shop at the Salvation Army clearance bin." She nudged Megan, who stifled a giggle. "What's that shirt, $10? Did you borrow it from your maid?" Megan, eager to please, chimed in, her voice a touch too shrill. "Yeah, no offense, but you don't exactly scream bride. More like delivery driver? Or like someone who cleans houses for rich people." Her laugh was forced, her eyes darting to Claire for approval. Ava's fingers brushed her silver ring, her expression steady, but her jaw tightening just a fraction. She'd heard worse, hadn't she? "It's not a mistake," she said, voice calm as a summer stream. "I ordered a dress 3 months ago. Sustainable silk, $1,200, for a thread event. Check the records." Claire's smile curdled. "Fred? Sweetheart, this is Luxe Bridal. Our dresses start at $8,000. We don't do budget orders for working-class wannabes." She leaned forward, nails tapping the counter. "You look like you barely scrape by on minimum wage. Why don't you try a department store? Or, I don't know, a pawn shop?" Jess, already live-streaming, angled her phone to catch Ava's sandals. "Y'all, check this out," she whispered to her 5,000 viewers. "Some rando in clearance rags just crashed Luxe Bridal." Caption: "When you think you're a bride, but look like you live under a bridge." Comments flooded in. "Kick her out. She's gotta be homeless." Lisa Grant, a wealthy client in a fur-trimmed coat, swept in, her perfume choking the air. She stopped dead, staring at Ava like she'd stepped in gum. "Who let this in?" she barked, waving a manicured hand. "This is a boutique, not a soup kitchen. People like her low class, probably scrubbing floors for a living ruin the vibe. Get her out before she touches anything." Ava's hand tightened on her tote, but her face stayed serene, almost too serene. "You could call your supervisor," she said to Claire, polite but firm. "Or check the system. My name's there." Claire laughed, a sharp, cutting sound. "Supervisor? Honey, I am the boss, and I don't serve street rats pretending to be brides. You're not fooling anyone with that fake email." What are you, a barista? A dog walker? She nodded to Tom Reed, the security guard, who shuffled forward, his face apologetic but his job clear. Tom, escort Miss Minimum Wage out. Now! As Tom reached for Ava's arm, she stepped back, her eyes locking on Claire's. You're making a mistake, she said, voice low, almost a whisper. You think I don't belong because of my clothes, my class. But you'll see who I am. And you'll wish you'd listened. Claire froze, a flicker of unease crossing her face, but she waved it off with a sneer. Oh, please. Threats from a nobody? Tom, move it. Jess's live stream hit 7,000 views, comments screaming. Bum's getting the boot. But one lone comment stood out. Who's Ava Miller? She's got guts. Tom's hand hovered, his eyes meeting Ava's for a split second. Something in her gaze made him hesitate. Who was this woman, standing like a rock against a storm of scorn? And why did her quiet confidence feel like the calm before a hurricane? Chapter 2. The Mob at the Gates. Ava Miller stood on the Soho sidewalk, the glass door of Luxe Bridal slamming shut behind her like a guillotine. The June heat clung to her linen shirt, now slightly damp from the ordeal, but her face remained a mask of calm, her silver ring catching the neon glow of a nearby sign. Inside, Claire Bennett's laughter echoed, joined by Jess Parker's smug cackle and Megan Hart's nervous giggle. Tom Reed, the security guard, lingered by the door, his broad shoulders slouched, muttering, Sorry, ma'am. Just doing my job. Ava gave him a small nod, her eyes sharp but kind. She'd seen worse storms than this. Jess's livestream was already spiraling, hitting 10,000 views as comments poured in. Bum got what she deserved. Who does she think she is, crashing Luxe? But one viewer, buried in the noise, typed. She didn't even flinch. What's her deal? Ava's parting words, You'll wish you'd listened, hung in the air like smoke, a promise Claire dismissed as she strutted back to her counter, tossing her hair. Pathetic, she sneered to Jess. Some low-life barista thinking she's a bride. Probably lives in a rat-infested studio, if she's lucky. Jess, eyes glued to her phone, grinned. This clip's gold. My followers are eating it up. Caption update. When you dress like a janitor but dream of diamonds. Megan, still fidgeting, chimed in, trying to keep up. Yeah, did you see her sandals? I bet she walks dogs for, like, $5 an hour. Her voice wavered, though, her own thrift store roots itching under her borrowed bravado. Claire shot her a look, keep up, or get out, and Megan shrank, nodding. Lisa Grant, the fur-clad client, lingered by a rack of gowns, her voice carrying like a foghorn. Honestly, Claire, you need better security. Letting riffraff like that in? She's probably one of those subway beggars, scrounging for change. People like her don't belong in places like this. They're better off cleaning our houses. The words stung the air, but Ava, now halfway down the block, didn't hear them. She pulled out her phone, a text from her assistant Sarah flashing, Thread bridal event locked in. You good? Ava typed back, all good. They'll see. A faint smile tugged at her lips, cryptic as a locked diary. What was Ava planning? And why did she seem so unshaken by the venom hurled her way? 5 days later, the Dumbo warehouse buzzed with anticipation for the Thread bridal launch. The space was a far cry from Luxe's sterile glamour. Scuffed wooden floors, exposed brick, and warm yellow string lights gave it a scrappy charm, like a Brooklyn dive bar dressed up for a party. Folding chairs held a mix of fashion bloggers, local reporters, and regular folks clutching free coffee. The event promised affordable wedding dresses, $500 to $2,000 made from sustainable silk, a bold middle finger to the industry's elitism. Claire, Jess, and Megan were there, invited because Luxe supplied Thread silk, a deal they assumed was with some faceless corporation, not a single woman. They strutted in, Claire in a tailored blazer, Jess in a neon mini dress, Megan trailing like a nervous puppy. Ava slipped through a side door, her linen shirt and culottes unchanged, her silver ring glinting. She adjusted a display, her movements precise, but Jess's eagle eyes caught her. "Oh, hell no," Jess hissed, elbowing Claire. "It's the homeless chick from Luxe. What's she doing here serving coffee?" Claire's face twisted, a mix of disgust and disbelief. "This is a new low," she said, loud enough for nearby bloggers to turn. "They're letting street trash into fashion events now." She probably sneaked in to steal scraps. Megan, emboldened by Claire's lead, piped up. "Yeah, look at her. She's gotta be like the cleaning crew. No way she's a guest not with that outfit. Bet she lives in a shelter, sewing rags for pennies." Her words carried a cruel edge, but her eyes flickered with unease, remembering her own childhood in a cramped apartment, her mom working double shifts as a cashier. Jess, already live streaming, zoomed in on Ava's sandals. "Y'all, it's the Luxe loser," she crowed to her 12,000 viewers. Caption: "When you crash a fashion show but look like you mop floors for a living." Comments exploded. "Kick her out. She's giving food stamp vibes." But one stood out. "Why she so calm? Something's up." Why was Ava at this high-profile event? And what was behind her unshakable composure? Claire marched toward Ava, heels clicking like gunfire. "You!" she snapped, voice dripping venom. "What are you doing here? This is a private event for people with actual money, not grubby little nobodies like you. Go back to your dive bar job, or whatever ditch you crawled out of." Ava straightened, her gaze steady. "I'm invited," she said simply, pulling a paper invite with a QR code from her tote. "Check the list." Claire laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Invited? You? Honey, you're the kind of person who scrubs toilets, not sits in the front row. You think you belong with us because you printed a fake invite? Pathetic." Zoe, an influencer with a lavender bob, joined the fray, her voice shrill. "Seriously? Who let this charity case in? She looks like she's here to beg for leftovers. People like her blue-collar, broke should stick to Walmart, not fashion shows." The crowd murmured, some nodding, others shifting uncomfortably. Megan hesitated, then added, "Yeah, she's probably a seamstress or something, stitching knockoffs in a basement. Total lowlife." Ava's fingers brushed her ring, her lips twitching with something like amusement. "You should scan the code," she said, holding out the invite. Claire snatched it, shoving it at Tom, who'd followed them over. "Scan it, Tom, so we can prove she's a fraud and toss her out." Tom, his face weary, ran the QR code through his phone. His eyes widened, and he stammered, Ms. Bennett, she's on the VIP list. Top priority." Claire's jaw dropped, her blazer suddenly feeling too tight. "What?" she barked. "That's impossible. She's nobody, a dishwasher, a street rat. How was Ava, the nobody in linen, a VIP at Thread's biggest event? And what power did she hold over these gatekeepers?" The crowd buzzed, phones popping up to record the standoff. Jess's livestream hit 15,000 views, comments spiraling. "No way she's VIP. Fake invite bet." But a few dissented. "She's got guts. I'm rooting for her." Zoe, sensing content, circled Ava like a shark. "Okay, slum girl. Let's say you are invited. What are you? The token poor person for PR. Thread slumming it with you to look relatable?" Her laugh was a whip, but Ava didn't flinch. "You'll find out soon," she said, her voice soft but edged, like a blade wrapped in silk. Ethan Cole, standing in the shadows, watched from afar, his heart racing. He'd loved Ava for 3 years. Ever since she pitched Thread at a scrappy startup conference, her shirt as wrinkled as her dreams were bold. He gripped the small ring box in his pocket, thinking, she's stronger than all of them. Tonight, I'll tell her everything. Who was Ethan to Ava? And what secret was he carrying that could change the night? Claire, red-faced, signaled Tom. "I don't care what the list says. Get her out now. She's ruining this event for people who actually belong here, not some filthy laborer pretending to matter. Tom hesitated, his own years as a factory worker flashing through his mind. Ava met his gaze, her eyes saying, "I've been here too." "You don't have to do this, Tom," she said quietly. He froze, hand hovering, as Claire shrieked, "Do your job or you're fired." The warehouse seemed to hold its breath. Every phone trained on Ava, Jess's live stream climbing to 18,000 views. A single comment cut through. "She's about to own this. Watch." Was Ava about to be humiliated again? Or was she holding a card that could flip the entire game? Chapter 3. The Light Beneath the Linen. The Dumbo warehouse pulsed with tension, its yellow string lights casting a warm glow over the scuffed wooden floor. Ava Miller stood at the edge of the thread bridal event, her linen shirt and beige culotte stark against the glittering crowd. Her silver ring glinted as she faced Claire Bennett's wrath, the manager's heels stabbing the floor like daggers. Jess Parker's phone was a live grenade, her live stream at 18,000 views, comments roaring, "Toss the bum! She's a joke!" Megan Hart hovered behind, her cruel jabs faltering as guilt gnawed at her working-class roots. Zoe, the lavender-haired influencer, egged Claire on, while Tom Reed, the security guard, stood frozen, his hand hovering over Ava's arm. The crowd's phones glowed, capturing every second of the showdown. Claire's face was a mask of fury, her blazer straining as she leaned into Ava. "You think a fake QR code makes you somebody?" she spat, voice loud enough to silence nearby chatter. "You're nothing but a filthy street rat, probably stitching rags in some sweatshop for pennies. People like you grubby laborers, welfare leeches don't belong in our world. Go back to scrubbing floors or begging for scraps." Her words sliced through the air, drawing gasps from some guests, nods from others. How could Ava, cornered and humiliated, possibly turn this around? Jess, sensing blood, zoomed her live stream on Ava's worn sandals. "Y'all, she's literally giving food stamp energy," she crowed, her 20,000 viewers lapping it up. Caption: "When you sneak into a fashion show but look like you clean motels for a living." Comments flooded. "She's a disgrace. Bet she lives in a cardboard box." But a lone voice persisted. "She's not backing down." "Who is she?" Zoe piled on, her voice a venomous purr. "What's next, huh? You gonna tell us you're a designer? A bride? Please, you're the kind of trash who mops up after real people. Stick to your alley, slum girl." The crowd tittered, some influencers snapping photos, their hashtags already brewing. Hashtag Dumbo disaster. Megan, desperate to prove herself, joined the assault, her voice cracking. "Yeah, look at her shirt straight out of Goodwill's reject pile. She's probably a dishwasher who stole that invite to scam free food. Low-class losers like her always try to claw their way up, but they never belong." Her words stung, but her eyes betrayed her, flickering with shame as she remembered her own mother, a factory worker, mocked for her calloused hands. Ava's gaze met Megan's for a split second, soft but piercing, as if she saw through the facade. What was in Ava's eyes that made Megan falter? And what secret was she guarding? Claire snapped her fingers at Tom. "Enough of this circus. Drag her out, Tom, before she ruins the whole event. She's a walking insult to anyone with a bank account." Tom, his face etched with conflict, stepped closer, muttering, "Ma'am, I gotta." But Ava raised a hand, her voice steady as steel. "Wait," she said, loud enough to halt the room. "You want to know who I am? You'll find out right now." The crowd gasped, phones swiveling. Jess's livestream spiked to 22,000 views, comments screaming, "She's bluffing. Kick her out." But that lone commenter typed, "This is it. She's about to flip the script." Was Ava about to unravel everything? Or was this a desperate last stand? Before Claire could retort, the warehouse lights dimmed, a spotlight hitting the makeshift stage. Ethan Cole, in a simple gray vest, stepped forward, his presence quiet but commanding. He glanced at Ava, his eyes flickering with something deeper than admiration, 3 years of unspoken love. Born when he saw her pitch Thread at a dive bar startup event, her shirt as rumpled as her dreams were fierce. He cleared his throat, addressing the crowd. Thread Bridal is about breaking barriers, he said, voice resonant. And tonight, you'll meet the woman who made it possible. Claire scoffed, loud enough to draw glares. What her? She barked, pointing at Ava. That Skid Row nobody? She's probably here to steal the catering. Laughter rippled through some influencers, but Ethan's gaze hardened. He extended a hand to Ava, who walked forward, her sandals echoing in the stunned silence. This, Ethan said, is Ava Miller, the founder of Thread. The room froze, a collective gasp sucking the air out. Claire's jaw dropped, her blazer suddenly a size too small. Jess's phone her live stream hitting 25,000 views, comments exploding. No way! She's the CEO? Ethan's voice grew fierce. Ava grew up in Brooklyn's worst corners, raised by a single mother who sewed dresses until her fingers bled. When her mom died, Ava was 18, homeless, sleeping on park benches, stitching scraps to survive. She taught herself design, built thread from a second-hand sewing machine, and turned it into a $30 million brand that's changing fashion for everyone, not just the rich. The crowd erupted, some clapping, others gaping, phones flashing. Claire stammered. That's impossible. She's a liar. But Ethan wasn't done. And one more thing, he said, eyes locked on Claire. Thread's silk deal with Luxe Bridal? That's Ava's contract. She's been keeping your failing boutique afloat. How had Ava, the street rat, become Luxe's savior? And what would she do with this power? Claire's face turned ashen, her voice a squeak. You're lying. She's a fraud, a filthy seamstress, a beggar. Jess, panicking, tried to pivot her live stream, muttering, a plot twist, guys, but comments turned. They messed with the wrong woman. Ava's a legend. Megan stumbled back, whispering, I didn't know. Her own poverty-stricken childhood flashed before her, her cruelty now a mirror of her shame. Zoe, desperate to save face, sneered. So what? She's still trash who got lucky. Doesn't make her one of us. But the crowd wasn't listening, their applause drowning her out. Sarah, Ava's assistant, stepped forward with a laptop, her voice cutting through the chaos. Claire Bennett, Jess Parker. Your actions slandering and live streaming Ava violate Luxe's contract with Thread. Effective immediately. You're terminated. Tom, no longer hesitating, moved toward Claire, who shrieked. You can't. I'm Luxe. She tripped, her heel snapping, hair a mess as Tom escorted her out. Jess sobbed, her phone buzzing with a lost sponsorship deal, her live stream crashing at 28,000 views. Megan stayed rooted, tears streaming, murmuring, I'm so sorry, Ava. Ava's eyes softened, but she said nothing yet. Would Ava forgive Megan? Or was her mercy reserved for a bigger purpose? The crowd roared, phones capturing Ava's serene figure in her $800 silk gown. A Thread bridal masterpiece. Hashtag Ava Miller hit 40,000 mentions, posts flooding. From homeless to hero. She owned them. Ethan watched Ava, his heart pounding, the ring box in his pocket heavier than ever. He'd love her through every struggle, but tonight he knew. He had to tell her, not just as a partner, but as a man who saw her light when the world saw shadows. What was Ethan hiding? And how would his secret reshape Ava's triumph? Claire's final scream echoed as she was let out. She's still nothing, a nobody in rags. But Ava stepped to the mic, her voice clear, unshaken. I've been called a beggar, a laborer, a nobody, she said, eyes sweeping the room. But I'm here to say no one's nobody. Thread isn't just dresses, it's proof that anyone can rise, no matter where they start. The applause thundered, but Ava's gaze lingered on Megan. A hint of something, forgiveness? In her eyes. The warehouse felt electric. Every guest sensing this was more than a launch. It was a reckoning. What would Ava do next? And could she turn this victory into something even greater? Chapter 4. Threads of Tomorrow. The Dumbo warehouse buzzed, yellow string lights casting a warm glow. Ava Miller stood on stage, her $800 thread bridal gown gleaming, silver ring glinting. The crowd, bloggers, reporters, locals roared, their cheers drowning Claire Bennett's final shriek as Tom Reed escorted her out. Her heel snapped. Jess Parker's livestream had crashed at 27,000 views, her phone now buzzing with a lost sponsorship. Meghan Hart lingered at the room's edge, tears streaking, her whispered, "I'm sorry," lost in the din. Ava's words, "Thread proves no one's nobody," still echoed, her gaze landing on Meghan's trembling figure. Would Ava forgive Meghan, or let her stew in guilt? Ethan Cole stood off stage, heart racing. He'd loved Ava for 3 years, since her scrappy thread pitch at a startup dive, her dreams outshining her rumpled shirt. The ring box in his pocket burned, but he held back, waiting for the right moment. He caught her eye, and she smiled, a quiet "we did this." What was Ethan planning, and when would he act? Ava gripped the mic, voice steady. "My mom sewed dresses in a freezing room called low class. I built thread for her, for every woman told they don't belong." She paused. Thread Bridal launches tonight, dresses from $500, sustainable silk for all. Luxe Bridal joins us, not as gatekeepers but partners. Applause erupted. Hashtag Ava Miller hitting 40,000 mentions, posts flooding. "She's killing elitism. Homeless to hero." Meghan's sob broke through, hands covering her face. Her trailer park childhood stung. She'd mocked Ava to fit in, to escape her roots. Ava stepped toward her, crowd parting. "Meghan," she said, soft but firm. "You said sorry. That's a start." Meghan's eyes widened, tears spilling. "I don't deserve it. I called you a lowlife." Ava cut in. "You know what it's like to be dismissed. Be better." Meghan nodded, choking. "I will." Could Meghan redeem herself? Or was Ava's mercy a test? Ava returned to the stage, unveiling Thread Bridal's collection. Regular women modeled $500 to $2,000 gowns, their smiles radiant. The crowd cheered, bloggers tweeting. Ava's rewriting fashion. Ava knocked over a water glass, laughing, still clumsy. The crowd chuckled, charmed by her realness. How would Ava's authenticity shape her legacy? Sarah, Ava's assistant, whispered, "Claire's blacklisted in Soho. Jess lost a deal, her followers tanking." Ava nodded. "They'll learn or not." Claire's viral photo, tangled hair, broken heel, captioned, "Mocked the wrong nobody." Jess's apology post flopped, comments brutal. "Too late, clout chaser." Ava's focus wasn't revenge, but the women trying thread gowns. Their joy, her mom's dream realized. Would Ava's vision outlast her foe's bitterness? Ethan edged closer, hand brushing Ava's. "You turned poison into light," he murmured. Ava smiled, tired but real. "We did." The ring box weighed heavy, his love unspoken since that pitch 3 years ago. He wanted forever, not just partnership. What was Ethan holding back, and how would it shift Ava's path? A teacher clutching a $600 gown told Ava, "I never thought I could afford this." Ava's eyes softened. "You're why I'm here." The moment carried her mission's weight. Social media hummed. Hashtag Ava Miller at 45,000 mentions, most praising. "She's one of us." A few sneered. Still a nobody. Ava ignored them, focused on tomorrow. Could Ava's dream withstand cynicism? Ava and Ethan stood by the stage, crowd thinning. "This is the start," she said, fierce. "Threads for every woman told she's not enough." Ethan nodded, hand over the ring box. "I'll be there," he said, voice low. The warehouse felt like home, where nobodies became somebodies. What did Ethan's promise hide, and what lay ahead? Chapter 5. Light woven in silk. The Dumbo warehouse glittered, transformed for Ava Miller and Ethan Cole's $1 million wedding. a celebration of love and defiance. Silk thread bridal gowns adorned guests, from teachers to tycoons. Their $500 to $2,000 dresses proof no dream was too small. Ava stood radiant in a $1,000 silk gown. Her silver ring her mother's keepsake paired with Ethan's modest diamond. The yellow string lights glowed, wooden floors polished, as Brooklyn's skyline sparkled outside. Ethan, in a gray suit, gazed at her, his eyes tracing the woman who'd risen from park benches to this moment. 3 months after the thread bridal launch, Ava's vision had reshaped fashion. Hashtag Ava Miller hit 100,000 mentions, posts celebrating. She's one of us. Claire Bennett, blacklisted, now worked retail, her pride humbled. Jess Parker, her following halved, issued a public apology, volunteering at a shelter to rebuild. Megan Hart, rehired at Luxe under Ava's terms, stood among guests, her $600 gown a symbol of redemption. Ava's punishment was humane. No vengeance, just accountability. Let them learn, she told Sarah, by living better. Could Claire and Jess truly change, or would bitterness linger? Ethan took Ava's hand, voice trembling. I loved you from that startup pitch. Your dreams brighter than the room. You taught me no one's nobody. His backstory unfolded. An orphan, scraping by, building Connexphere from nothing. We're the same, Ava underdogs who made it. He knelt, ring box open. Marry me forever? Ava, tears falling, nodded. Yes, Ethan, for every nobody like us. Their kiss sealed a vow under applause, Megan wiping tears, inspired to be more. How would their union reshape the world? Ava spoke, voice clear. This wedding isn't about money, it's about equality. I was called trash, but respect isn't bought. It's given. Threads for every woman, rich or poor, because no one's less than. Guests cheered, a teacher in a $500 gown whispering, she's why I'm here. The message sank deep. Respect transcends class, and equality starts with kindness. Would Ava's words spark a movement? As they danced, Ava whispered, we're building a fairer world, Ethan. He grinned, starting with us. The crowd joined, silk gowns swaying, a tapestry of hope. Ava's final note rang true. No one's nobody when we lift each other up. If this story moved you, like the video and subscribe to our channel. Share your story of overcoming prejudice in the comments. Let's build a society where equality and respect shine together.